Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic lesson known classics. This is episode number 3083 and Doubleshot number 2977. We have two trades written by really good writers, in my opinion. Two female writers, mind you. First up we have is from Alyssa Wong. We have Captain Marvel by Alyssa Wong, Volume 2, The Undone, which collects issues 6 to 10 of Captain Marvel, Volume 11. And these are the final issues of the volume. Yeah, I'll theorize exactly why the book had to end at this point. I'll get to that. So, artwork in this book is done by Roderick Coleman. The cover is Stefan Segovia and Ramon Pedro Jr. So, in these issues, we start off with Gen-Vell showing up to attack his brother. You're like, what? Okay, a bit of an explanation for this, because some people think, oh, didn't he die in the Almost 100? He did. But then he came back in the last of the Marvel stuff, and then he got a miniseries by Peter Dave, which was really good. And then, I think he popped up like one book prior to this, and then he appears in this book, in these last 5 issues, and then he hasn't seen since then. As for why, I think because Marvel has plans, so basically he's being manipulated while having a hole in his chest, attack his brother, who is, by the way, is Hulkling. And Hulkling is there with his husband, Wiccan. But then their protector shows up, Laura L., Carol's half-sister. And of course knocks him out, but of course this is his gooey, this boob stuff. And then we have Scytho showing up, Hulkling's sister, but except this is not technically Scytho from the 616 universe. Nope, this is from the universe of Earth 18897. Yeah, an alternate universe version, because the 616 version is dead. She has been dead for 15 years. Why Marvel has Bar back yet, I have no idea. Now, of course, I'm sure that probably Carol think this is probably 616 Scytho, but no. Alyssa Wong basically identifies her as the alternate universe one who popped up in, I believe, was Donnie Codis's. Actually, she first showed up in Infinity Wars. That's when she first showed up. So basically, she informed what's going on, and we have Yin Yang. Where she has this thing where she has this negative band with Carol Danvers. And the whole thing is about negative bands. It's like, give me my negative bands. And he's banished. And then we see a flashback. It looks like when Yang is meeting up with Lenore, who she's got a thing for. Yes. And they have Carol fighting Gen-Vell, the son of the man she once loved. Yes. Fights Gen-Vell, who is being possessed, and somehow basically it's onto Lenore, and because she's basically Omen. Yep. Then we have Carol standing over basically Gen-Vell's body. Don't worry. And then apparently then we have Young just put these little tape on her face. There, Carol. And then we have Rick Jones make a return. Oh, don't worry. He returns after this book wraps up. Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah, apparently he was vacationing in the Microverse. And, yes, the Microverse is still part of the Marvel comic canon, despite the fact the Micronauts went over to IDW. My guess is because that Alyssa Wong was able to use the Microverse was because Marvel got the reprint rights to the Micronauts again. That's my guess what happened here. So then Rick Jones basically encounters Gen-Vell, which is the first these two have seen each other since Peter David wrote him back in the early 2000s. Yeah, there's a lot of fighting here with the Undone. And then the Undone comes out of Gen-Vell, and we basically see what she looks like here. And apparently the design looks like she's partially based upon Hela from Thor. And then, of course, everybody basically works together to fight her. Of course, Teddy is carried by his husband. Everyone gets power boost, and they basically have a big brawl with her. And then, of course, basically, Lenore basically is like, don't touch her, because Yen doesn't want to touch Yen, because basically that possibly these two have a thing for each other, and then eventually she ends up accidentally stabbing her. Actually, Undone stabs her. And, of course, Carol's stabbed. But don't worry, she doesn't die. Because she's still around in our comics right now. Yeah, she had to burst all of it out of her. She apparently decides to take off her jacket, put her on her waist, and show off her very muscular arms. Yes, showing the fact Carol Danvers does work out. Except that, for some time, we couldn't show off her arms. For reasons. Because some people, she should cover up. Yeah, also apparently when she became Captain Marvel, she lost a lot of muscle mass. Because I remember when she was Miss Marvel, she looked like she was a bodybuilder. Like, her arms were huge. That's how she was drawn for some time. Still a very beautiful woman. But then when she became Captain Marvel, her arms shrunk. Don't know the reason for it, but it did. And, well, Undone is basically eliminated by the end of this book. By the end of it, basically, that Yang gets stabbed by the end. But don't worry, she comes back. And then finally she comes. Undone is basically eliminated, eliminating her threat. Carol basically uses her power to heal Yang, and they get rid of it. But then, of course, sadly, they get rid of the Negabands. And, of course, also, the wound in Gen-Vell's chest is healed. And he says, that was the last thing that was mine? Okay. And apparently his negative band was the only thing he left of his father. Which I'm like, that's kind of weird. And he's in space. Everybody's happy. United with each other. And apparently the book ends by having the characters celebrate Carol's birthday. How old she's turning? Don't know. No one knows. A very interesting book. Yes. I give this book a 9 out of 10. Final thoughts on Alyssa Wong's run for Captain Marvel. A very interesting run. It is also the first time since the first volume of Captain Marvel featuring Carol Danvers that we have no Rhodey. Yeah, Rhodey's not in this volume. As far as I heard, they did break up, but they did reunite with each other. And by the end of the previous volume, they were still an item. As for why he was not in this specific volume, don't know. It's kind of weird. It's the first time, basically, that he's not been featured in this book since the Kelly Thomas second volume Captain Marvel. That was the last time he was. That was when he was first featured, but he was not. He's been featured constant presence in all the Captain Marvel books, and this book he was not featured at all, which is kind of weird. Second fun fact with this book. This actually is the first one since Mighty Captain Marvel, the last 10 issues featuring Carol Danvers, which makes it tied for the shortest run for her to date. Yes. It's even shorter than the first 2 volumes she had. Her first volume was 17 issues. Second volume, I think, was like 13, I think it was. Lasted like a year. Then they had the Captain Marvel volume, which lasts about 10 issues ish. This is the last thing. Like, the thing with Carol is that, with the exception of Kelly Thompson, it seems like Marvel just doesn't care to keep the volume going. At least Kelly Thompson had an amazing run. Alyssa Wong wasn't terrible. It's just that my only guess is probably the reason why the book wasn't selling very well. And this is my personal theory. The Marvels. Yes, the only reason why that book wasn't selling very well was because of the Marvels. That's just a theory, because the movie didn't do too well, so I guess Marvel's like, let's axe basically Carol Danvers' book, despite the fact she's had a constant book since 2012. Constantly published. Oh, and she's still being featured after the book wrapped up, mostly in Avengers and in Phoenix for some reason. Yes. But her supporting cast. the 2 new characters featured in this book, book ends and have featured since then. Excuse me, they were featured a couple of shows outside of it in Avengers. So, currently you can find both these 2 characters in the pages of in. Basically, you can find Carol Danvers appearing in Avengers as a leader of the group, along with appearing as a supporting character in the pages of Phoenix. And that's pretty much it for her. With that, also, Volume 11 is completely reviewed. Yes, which means about 3 more volumes of the review. Alright, next up, basically, we have is Rogue and Gambit Power Play. This contains the 2nd volume of Rogue and Gambit. The first volume, written by, I think it was Kelly Thompson. Yep, Kelly Thompson, the original volume for this one. Yep, with Carlos Gomez. I believe this is like 5 issues, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, it's like 5 issues. Which, like, that's interesting. Yes. This is the first book featuring these 2 as a couple since Mr. and Mrs. X. So in this book, by the way, the book was released part of Destiny of X stuff, which is when the height of the control era. So you have Gambit here, just getting into a fight with a group of ninjas. Yes. He fights them, and then his hot wife shows up, Rogue, in her awesome Jim Lee costume. Yes, Jim Lee designed this damn thing. Always great to see her wear it. I believe that Jim Lee also designed Gambit's costume. The Heroes Review site update. Yeah, and then of course, basically, he nearly pukes on her, and then for some reason, Lady Deathstrike is being arrested, and then she's freed. By some mysterious benefactor. Then we have where Rogue and Gambit are in New Orleans. And then one of Rogue's moms shows up. Destiny. Yep, Destiny shows up. Yeah, she's one of her moms because Mystique is bisexual and she basically loves Destiny. And tells about a prophecy that she has. And then basically Gateway proceeds to basically transfer someplace. So, yeah, it's Minefield. So, basically, you have a report for Lady Deathstrike. Of course, he doesn't want to feature it here. And then, of course, they fight a group of people, and then book ends with Rogue Gambit disappearing. It's like, we get surprised the boss. Then, this woman tags him, which probably Rogue's got that tag too. So then, of course, they both take off their jackets, still in their outfits. And then, of course, basically, it's like, your hand, your powers. I haven't completely filled my powers for a while. I took control of you. Ma chérie. And then, of course, he proceeds to make out with her. Yes, because Gambit loves some Rogue. Yep, and then we have this text story about Rogue's relationship in here. And then Mindful is in his little prison place with Lady Deathstrike for some reason. Yes. So then, of course, apparently, like, they're in this western town. Well, basically, and then he has people who actually respect the mutants. We have basically a dance-off. Rogue and Gambit are dancing, and then Black Panther shows up. Yes, Black Panther completely shows up out of nowhere. Which, of course, he's still mad about Storm stealing a sword from him back in X's Swords. Which, based on his attire, this is before the last. This is probably set during the John Reilly run. Yep. And again, to find, of course, we actually people actually on their side, surprisingly. And then they go back to Krakoa, where they run to Forge, who is fixing stuff. Yes. And then you have Mystique talking to her wife, basically, about stuff. Yep. And then Wolverine shows up in the book wearing his awesome John Byrne costume in the Danger Room. Yep, in the Danger Room. Yep. Have a little battle there, and of course you have Rogue and Gambit look at the water, And they have a little kiss-off session again because, well, Gambit loves kissing Rogue because he loves her. And Ford is like, be a cock blocker. Yes. Now I'm curious though, even with Rogue's powers, I'm really hoping one day that some writer makes these two parents, because these two make excellent parents. And I'm sure Mystique would love to be basically a grandmother. I'm sure she would love that very much. Yep. So then apparently like she takes like a little. Apparently Ford's lied about some stuff basically, and then we have a team show up here comprised of the Vanisher, the Juggernaut, Lady Deathstrike, and Mindful look like they're being mind controlled, and also they even threw a couple of non-X-Men characters in here with classic Thor villain Absorbent and classic Spider-Man villain Electro. You're like, what? Why the heck basically would they show up here in this awesome 2-page spread? Yep. And of course they have a fight. Vanisher, well, he had mysteriously come back. Basically they're brainwashed. Yeah, by the way, at one point this man was dead. Yeah, and he dies once again here. For reasons. And of course Juggernaut basically then... Oh yeah, apparently this is all done by the Power Broker. Which, last I saw him, was actually Astonishing Ant-Man by Nick Spencer. Well, Power Broker stuff, and then of course Rogue gets affected, but don't worry, they get rid of that, no problem. Then Gambit steps in, rescues his wife, like under mind control. I'm surprised basically he doesn't unzip her out right in front of her, trying to embarrass her in front of everybody. Like, and then Electro just holds her hand while she absorbs his power. Yes. Power Broker tries to escape with Lady Deathstrike, but then his copter's taken out by freaking Gambit. And then Rogue comes like very angry with absorbing its chain. Yep. And then we have various images of Rogue over the years where, like, at one point we have her out from the Extreme X-Men book, probably in here too, and when they got married, which happened in X-Men Gold number 30, which I did ask basically Mark Guggenheim about this. What was originally planned in the switcheroo? Well, the way he explained it to me was that apparently it was always the plan to have these two get married. Not sure what the bait and switch. I don't know exactly what Cleary said about me when it comes to that. So, then of course one point his face goes gold, but and we have various memories of her, and then of course she's freed. Power Broker decides to give himself a power boost. Rogue Gambit fight him. Lady Deathstrike stabs him because she's freed. If you're kicking head, don't say it. I said I was hungry. Never did that gumbo back in. It's almost like Rose expecting basically that, based upon her face, it's like Gambit really wants to have sex with her. Of course he does, basically. He's her husband. And then she's one of her mom. Then she's Destiny again. Then we have Mindful here. Big for... Yeah. And then, of course, you have Gambit come back from a run in in Manhattan. Yes, they live in New York for some reason. And he forgets, basically, the doorman's name. And then we see Rogue attempting to make some breakfast. Oh, yeah, then he sees, basically, the tag is on her neck. Then, thanks to his power, he's able to remove it, no problem. And then, of course, basically, like, with their cats... Yes, apparently they're cats. The issue ends in making out and presumably going to have sex. Now, why would I mention this, the whole thing of them having sex? Because they're a married couple, because of course they would. And plus because Gambit loves her. But this book is excellent. Stephanie Phillips does an excellent job. And here's the thing. She's still writing X book. She's writing Phoenix right now, which is awesome. But yeah, give this book roughly a 10 out of 10 because the book was really good. Yeah, nothing bad here with this one. Yep. But yeah, this particular review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do another like button. Well, next up is ReZero. But before that, I have to go outside to rake some leaves because my mom will basically yell at me for not doing it. Okay? Next video. Bye.